You can find a list of rules requiring a GCC and or thus defined as general use products on the CPSC website. And this is also how you determine if your product falls within the scope of, well, the GCC requirement. And some of these are quite specific. Some of these rules, they apply to specific types of products like all-terrain vehicles or bicycle helmets or bunk beds. But you also have some that apply to products containing certain components like button cell or coin batteries or magnets, for example. Okay? And some that apply to certain type of substances like lead. Let me see if I can find that one. Yeah, down here. So essentially you have three categories of requirements here. You have those that apply to specific product categories, you have those that apply to certain components, and also to substances. This means that more than one can apply to a given product, which is important to understand. Now, how do you move beyond identifying product safety rules? What do you actually need to do with these once you have identified one or more that applies to your product? Well, let's have a look at the requirements for button cell batteries. The CPSC provides detailed guidance pages. This is a great place to start to high-level overview, a pretty detailed summary of what you must do to comply, to fulfill the requirements. But, well, the real requirements are often found within the ECFR. And if you go here to part 1263.4, we can, for example, find requirements for labeling of button cell or coin battery packaging. We can find detailed information about warning labels that must be present. So this is actually found within the ECFR. Another concept that's very important is that of standards that are incorporated by reference. Certain regulations in the US reference product standards that are otherwise voluntary, primarily those from ASTM and also underwriter laboratories. Now, in this case, what Part 1263 does, in addition to warning labeling requirements, it also sets requirements concerning battery compartments and so on. And instead of presenting these requirements here on the CPSC guidance page or within the ECFR itself, is referencing an existing standard. And luckily, at least in the United States, you can often find free read-only versions of said standards if you go through the ECFR. Now, I'm not going to show this, but you can do so by following the procedure if you go to ulstandards.com. Okay? Now, this means that you have to take one step beyond the ECFR in order to be able to comply, because what these standards contain, well, you could find, for example, technical drawings or schematics or other parameters that must effectively be implemented into your technical drawings to make sure you comply. So that means that the requirements are not contained within the legislation, but actually contained in a reference or a standard incorporated by reference. Okay. So let's just repeat. You have to go through this list, identify the product safety rules that may apply. Some apply to certain product categories, other to components, other to substances. As said, more than one can apply. You have to go through the guidance page, read through the guidance page, and then you can access the specific requirements through the ECFR, which may in some cases also direct you to standards incorporated by reference. But luckily, in many cases, they provide those as free read-only versions because they can be quite expensive, a few hundred US in many cases.